Okay, so the next thing, now that we've got all of our pieces cut out, we're going to follow the instructions on the instructions that were given to us with the pattern. So our first task is to take piece number 1 and we're going to make the tie that's going around the waist of the dress, and that's piece number 1. So all of your pieces should have a number on them. I've kept my pieces attached to the pattern. If you've had to take your pattern off, I suggest when you do that, on the wrong side of your material, you just write down which pattern number you've got. So this is piece number 1, so just with your chalk or something else that's removable on the wrong side of the fabric, just write that down as you go. Anyway, so we're going to take piece number 1 and we're going to fold it in half, and what we're going to do is we're going to sew then along this edge and along the back, and then the next one is I'm then going to what we call baste the raw edges. That just means a really loose running stitch, and I'll show you that as I go. Our next task is going to be to gather the running stitch so that it gathers together. Okay. For this one, we're going to now attach on our gathered tie onto the side of piece number 2. So when we open this out, we're going to attach it onto this seam and we're going to sew that on. So I've got my tie here, the fabric ready, and we're folding it so that the right sides are opposite each other, the right sides are together. Okay, then we're going to sew down this long edge and down the short edge. Okay, so I'm going to start by putting it back in where my 1.5 centimetres are. So on the machine it tells us where that is, certainly on these machines anyway, so 1.5 centimetres or 15 millimetres. That goes in there. Needle in. Okay, and I'm just concentrating on making sure that these edges are together and that I'm staying 1.5 millimetres away from the 1.5 centimetres away from the edge. You can pin this if you want to, but I don't need to. Back stitch to keep it in place. Just double check they're still together. Okay, I need to stop about 1.5 centimetres away from the edge. So it's probably about there, I hope. The needle must be in. If it's not in, use the wheel on the side of your machine, bring it in, lift the foot up, pivot it round. Yeah, that's about right, that's fine for me. You can see the 5. And a back stitch at the end. Lock that in place. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing to your other tie, and then we're going to turn them inside out. I'll show you how to do that. Right, so the next task, after you've sewn it along one edge and down the other side, you're just going to trim this corner, so trim it along here. Don't go too close to the stitch because otherwise it will just fall out. And then we need to turn it inside out, so to do that you can either use a safety pin or you can just kind of pull it out and basically tuck it in on itself, so as if you're turning a sock inside out, which is slightly more fiddly than a sock because obviously it's thinner. So you kind of just put a finger in like that and start bringing it over the top and then start pushing it in. So I'm just going to use a bigger thing like that. And just keep bringing it down so you're gathering it on your finger and hopefully if you've got a friend with long fingers it helps. And then when it comes out that end, just pull there, pull it inside out. And then you should have your right side, the side with your pattern on. Okay, and then just wiggle the corners so that it really comes out nice and neat, nice and square like that. Okay, and then you can iron that flat once it's out, and then do the same thing to the other one. Now I'll do the other one in a second, I'm not going to show you both. But what I am going to show you is the next stage, and that is that on our instruction, where it says to gather, that's what we're going to do now, and we're going to do that using a needle and thread. So it doesn't matter what colour you use, so I'm just going to use orange just so you can see it. This isn't going to be permanent, you won't see it because it's going to be on the inside of the dress. Sorry, that was in, but I just put it out by accident. Okay, so at one end of your tie, just going to put that in there. Just do a couple of little stitches in the same place so that it keeps it in place. Okay, and then you can do quite a wide stitch. Just a running stitch down there, quite simple. Okay, and then take your needle out, and then what we're going to do is just pull and gather it. So pull it so that it gathers the fabric like that, and then we can just tie it at the back, so tie the two pieces together. Actually, if I do that, and then we'll space it out at the front so it's a bit more even. So then just tie a knot those two pieces like that, and then we can just even it out like a bit so that it's slightly gathered on one side. And actually that could maybe do with being a bit tighter, but when you sew it on you can just pin it in place, it's slightly tighter like that. Okay, and then that's ready to sew onto our bodice when we make that start.